Negative events and catastrophes will still happen regardless of what you think. So why would you spend your time making yourself feel worse thinking negatively about those events? Especially if it's something that you cannot change. There's a wasted effort spent there. Your effort could be better put somewhere else. There's no need to constantly keep thinking negatively and ruminating about stuff, especially if you can't change it. Positivity is not about just ignoring the bad stuff that happens. It's about refusing to let that get to you. You can't let that paralyze you from feeling positively. Yes, the world does suck, and you can recognize that and still move on about your day. You can recognize that the world sucks, move on about your day, and build something that is going to positively affect you or people around you. You have to be the change that you want to see in the world. If you want to feel good majority of the time, you have to structure your environment to make you feel good. If there's people in your life that you can't outright get rid of, you kind of have to socially experiment them into a way of behaving that would positively affect you. I'm not saying highly manipulate people in a negative way. I'm saying if there's someone around you that is constantly spewing out negativity, in that moment, you need to redirect them if that's what you want to see them do, so you can have a more positive outlook on life and the both of you can be happier. If you can't remove yourself from that person outright, then try to make your environment as positive for everyone involved. If ultimately you can't get that person to at least begin to act more positively and so they're not hindering your mood, eventually you do need to remove yourself from that person or those people. If the environment isn't working for you, change it. If you can't change the environment, remove yourself from the environment. It's as simple as that. It's very difficult to try to change your way of thinking, and it's even more difficult to try to change someone around you, their way of thinking. You're not in control of that person. You can try, because I know you have attachment to that person, most likely, and it'll be easier feelings-wise for you to kind of take on a project of trying to inject more positive thoughts into them so that they reiterate positive thoughts and you guys are just bouncing off of each other. Negativity breeds negativity. So you can't focus on especially outside factors that are producing negativity. You have to be mindful of the content that you consume because that will shape your thoughts, your internal monologue. That shapes the way you think. Your unconscious thoughts that just pop into your head. Like if a negative thought pops into your head where you're like, I'm insert negative adjective here. I'm not going to say that. But if you are a person who those thoughts pop into your head, you have to create an environment where those thoughts don't occur, because your environment is what shapes your thoughts. And it's easier to do this in pairs or like a group setting. I forgot what the term is where you and a person or a group of people are in alignment, like in positive alignment, where you kind of reach a flow state where you're just bouncing good off of each other. Like it fosters you to do more, it fosters you to grow higher because you have someone believing the same thing that you believe and thinking and believing that you can go higher, and you think and believe that they can go higher. So it skyrockets your productivity as like a group or a pair. Both of you genuinely believe that both of you can genuinely go higher and higher. you just keep going higher and higher. If you don't have someone like that, or you're not even someone that believes in somebody else, like, or yourself, like, you need to start with yourself. If you don't believe that you can achieve something, you're not really going to achieve it. If you genuinely believe that you can't, you don't put in the hours to do the work to be able to do that. So you have to change your environment. Watch the content that you consume. Not watch any of those crazy podcasts where they're just constantly bashing a group of people or a person. You can't consume content like that, because that pops into what you think. If you're watching somebody, even if it's like you think it's not harmful, it's like funny content where they're just either like self-deprecating, like the person that you're watching is self-deprecating, it's teaching you to kind of look negatively at that person. And you don't want to be a person that casts judgment onto other people. Like, your first thought is something negative about like a stranger. You're like analyzing what they have on, how they look, what mood that they're giving off from what they look like to you. And it's very hard to do this, and I honestly need to retrain myself how to do this better, more consistently. But there was a point I was goated at it. I was so good. Like, I would see a brand new person, nothing would pop into my mind about this person. Nothing at all would pop into my mind. No preconceived notions about anything, what they had on, what they looked like, what their hair was looking like. Nothing. When you get to that point, and honestly, that's how I stopped being so self-conscious and anxious. That was a big factor in why I stopped being so anxious, because I was always a really quiet kid, so I was already really in my head. So, and I was really observant. I'm still really observant, but I was really observant to the fact where I believed I knew what people were thinking, and a lot of times I was right. You can't control that. You can't control what people think. That's none of your business what they are thinking. Get out of those people's heads. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for you to be concerned with what somebody else thinks about you, or what somebody else thinks about another person. That's none of your business. So really, I started to mind my business, and I feel like the major factor in me overcoming a large portion of my anxiety was, one, not casting judgment on the person in front of me, like a brand new person. Like, I don't know them. I don't know what they're gonna say. I don't know what they think. I don't know if they're a nice person, a mean person. I don't know anything about them, so I shouldn't make any preconceived notions about what this person is like until I know this person. Until this person starts talking to me, it's none of my concern about like what this person is or who they might be, because I don't know that. There's no need to push my own perception onto somebody. You know what I mean? There's no room for that. Once you stop doing that, it has a reverse effect of you not thinking that other people are thinking about you. A lot of people's like social anxiety and stuff comes from thinking what somebody else is gonna think about them. We all say, oh, you're not worried about whatever blah 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 things. We are. That we're social creatures. We cannot help that. It is a fact. Like, it's ingrained into our DNA that we have to act within a society a certain way. Now, the way you act within the society is basically how you were raised or how you trained yourself to think, how your environment trained you to think. Either one of those is how you will interact with society. So, how you conduct yourself and what you think is a symptom of your environment and society that we're in. If you can change your environment, one, you change the way you think. Simple way to change the way you think: not think anything about anybody else before you know them. It's as simple as that, because that has the great effect of you not existing in other people's heads. You don't exist in other people's heads until you speak to them and stuff. So do not go into a scenario, an event, a situation where you are trying to predict what other people will think about you. That is none of your concern about what they think about you. That's none of your business. Even if they tell you their opinion on you, that's still none of your business. How they perceive you is still none of your business. Throw that out the window. That's literally not your business. That is theirs. Those are their thoughts and what they have to sit with at night. You don't have to sit with them. That's really none of your business. If you're never going to see the person again, it literally doesn't matter. Now, if it's your friend or family, maybe you can take some of the stuff that they say to heart, but take it lightly, because no one knows you better than you know you. Especially if you're in a transitory state in your life, you're trying to restructure your mind, your environment, the things that you like, the things that you do. Take what your family and who they know you as lightly. Change is hard. Change is very hard for other people who already have this idea reinforced by years of knowing you. So if you're trying to change, be lenient with the people around you, because it's harder for them to adjust to it, just like it's hard for you to adjust to your new lifestyle. It's going to be hard for them to come to know you a different way than you've existed to them the previous 10, 20 years that you've known them. So be lenient with that. Stand firm on who you are becoming and who you're trying to be, but be lenient with that. Now, if they are producing negativity onto you that is causing you mental harm, you're unhappy because of that, be mindful of how much you are around that person and how much of what they say affects how you think. If it's somebody who's not going to recognize the change that you're making or change that you're trying to make, you may eventually have to cut them off or just limit your exposure to them. Focusing on your environment, be conscious of the things that you allow people to say to you, like your friends and stuff. Do not allow them to make jokes at your expense, or your family to make jokes at your expense. Don't do that. Especially if you're somebody who has a negative self-image. You can do that stuff if you're secure in yourself, but I would say keep it to a limit. Honestly, keep it to a limit, because that kind of trains them and you to allow them to play with you, and you don't want to never let nobody think they can play with you. Changing your thoughts is harder than changing your environment, because you're not greatly in control of your thoughts like you are in your environment. Your environment is going to be what you think, though. So rule number 1, don't let your friends play with you, your family, don't let them play in your face. Make jokes about you, it's not funny, you're not laughing. Because your subconscious mind does not recognize jokes. So if you are a person who makes self-deprecating jokes, that trains the people around you to make those jokes about you too. Don't make those jokes. It's not funny. 2, if you have someone that's spewing negativity, they're always talking about something, or if you're the person who is always talking about somebody else, always in somebody else's business, talking negatively about them, that's none of your business. That's none of your business. That's none of their business. Tell your friend to refocus their energy. Tell yourself to refocus your energy on something positive. If you're constantly talking bad about somebody else, you're not grounded enough in your life to make good things happen in your life. If you're always talking about something else, if you're always talking negative about something else, you're training your mind to focus on the negative, whether that's like with you in your life. You're training your brain to spot out and hone in on the negative things. So you will never be as happy as you can be once you stop doing those things. Once you stop talking negatively about people, when you stop talking negatively, when you stop casting so much judgment upon other people, is when you will give yourself enough grace and you will be able to find the positives within yourself in your life. Because your environment, and it's so serious, it's like spiritual warfare. Your environment literally shapes your thoughts. Your thoughts shapes your beliefs. Your beliefs shapes the way you live your life. If you have a negative environment, you're going to have negative thoughts, and you're going to have a negative outlook on life, and you're not going to have a good life. And your beliefs are reinforced in the things that you do. So if you're telling yourself, oh, I'm a positive person, if your affirmation is like, I'm a nice person, blah, 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 blah. If you have like good affirmations, but you turn around and you're talking negatively about your friend, that's not going to shape your self-belief in a very positive way. You're going to train yourself not to trust yourself because you're lying. You have to believe it, think it, do it. If you miss one of those things, you will be out of alignment. If you want a more positive life, despite all the horrors in the world, you have to be the change that you want to see. It's gonna sound cheesy or corny, but sometimes at night I play things that will reach my subconscious mind in a positive way because I don't want to be affected by the horror of the day. There's things that are going to happen and you can't stop them from happening. So the best you can do is train yourself to deal with the things that do happen and look for the good out of life. So I play affirmations, like positive affirmations at night, like while I sleep, so that I can train my subconscious mind to populate positive thoughts in my head throughout the day when I'm conscious, because your subconscious mind is what is triggering your thoughts and your dreams. So if you're inserting positivity into that, your conscious mind is going to think more positively by default. And you also have to act positively. You cannot play positive affirmations at night and be like a horrible, evil person in the daytime. That's not gonna... You're gonna create a narcissist if you do that type of stuff. You're gonna create a false confidence in yourself that will be your downfall. You have to live it, be it, do it. You cannot miss one of those things, because you will create an evil science experiment or an untrustworthy model. You don't want to create that in yourself. You have to think, be, do, so that you can have the type of things that you want in life.